thing that's happening. Thousands of people are dying a week. This very day is the third anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, which would never have happened if I was president. That was not going to happen. The horrors of this gruesome and bloody war can scarcely be overestimated. Hundreds of thousands of people, Russians and Ukrainians in particular, have needlessly died. An entire generation of Ukrainians and Russian men has been decimated. 1,000-year-old cities have been turned into rubble. Those beautiful spires that you used to see there, they were most beautiful in the world, they say, are lying in heaps of rubble, blasted to smithereens. It's time to end this bloodletting and restore peace, and I think we're going to do it. We've had some great conversations, including with Russia. Since my return to the White House, we've made more progress toward that goal in 1 month than occurred in the past 3 years. And I've spoken with both President Putin and President Zelensky. And again, a lot of good things toward peace are happening, moving, I think, pretty quickly. Last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff conducted successful talks in Saudi Arabia with. I'd like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the King. Great people. They're really working hard to get this done. Our focus on achieving a ceasefire as soon as possible, permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere, because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues, chief among them, the right time. It may be the only time, you know. That's an interesting, horrible situation, and that could evolve into a world war. We're not going to let that happen. Should have never started, but it did. And what a horrible, bloody mess. Also pleased that Macron agreed the cost and burden of securing the peace be borne by the nation of Europe, not alone by the Europe's central role, long-term of Ukraine, they do. And that's not a very big step. Step is what's going to happen over the United States has put up far more aid for Ukraine than any other nation. Hundreds of billions of dollars. We've spent more than 300 billion, and we've spent about 100 billion. That's a big difference. We equalize. Hopefully, we won't have to worry about this happening at realm necessity. We've vast amounts of aid in form of grants, economic relief as low, which they'll be like the Europeans. I think that taxpayers and the United States also deserve the colossal amount of money they've sent. The previous administration even thought they didn't think about things. Why did they let it start in the first place? That is why we have an agreement with, and various others. I think that's happening. I think a lot of progress. I had reports to me before that Emmanuel, a great deal of progress toward getting that. I've been led by the common sense to Washington, and I believe strongly that in the best interest in Europe, the best interest of Ukraine, and the best interest of Russia to stop the killing now and bring world peace. My administration is making a decisive policy of the past and frankly past. We ran against a very foolish, recklessness, death of many people under a new path that promotes peace around the world. When I left office for this administration, first term, we had no war, we had no problems. We didn't have October 7th, Israel. We didn't have Russia and Ukraine going at it. We didn't have the Middle East. We didn't have inflation. It was a whole world. And you know what else we didn't have? Millions, many of them criminals released from other nations and put right in borders. And it's a different time, but now we'll fix it up as quickly as possible. And we've made a great deal. As people are saying, it's a month for a president in our country. That's right. I feel it's right. We've done a lot of things in a short period of time. As I've said before, that my greatest legacy, however, will be as a peacemaker and a unifier. I want peace, not war. I thank Macron for joining us today in this urgent work. We have some people up front right here that are important. Steve, thank you very much. Waltz, thank you. Scott, thank you very much. And AD, thank you. They've done a good job. They worked very hard. And to invite a few words, and then we'll take questions. Again, Emmanuel, it's a great honor to have you with us at the White House. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen, saying a few words. Thank you very much, Mr. President, dear Donald, for your hospitality and for this mentioned. I've had the opportunity to meet over the past in Paris and also here at the White House. It has always been a great joy to do that, and I would like to thank you, President, for extending this to France ceremony at Notre Dame that you mentioned before. It was an honor for the French people who really drilled to the rest of your prince was a test to friendship. As the President said, this friendship dates back to the beginning of the United States, and whenever we've needed to be able to come together and we've been able to be united to defend peace, namely two wars that marked the 20th century, from Lafayette to Pershing and to the Americans who landed on the beach. And we earlier before you mentioned that of those gentlemen went to visit you, one of the veterans. This is which the world that we are in today. The President just said, those last few days, 1 minute, which is the political situation. I thank you for changes your schedule as so key. I think made very steps forward during our discussions, and this is a major step in what we're experiencing today. Because with all the G7 leaders to discuss this matter 3 days after the war in Ukraine, to express our support for President Zelensky to Ukraine people, speak about our desire for a lasting. This is what we have spoken very forcibly over the past few weeks. We thought that this war was only going to last a few weeks for 2020. President, I wish to thank you. You mentioned that there are abilities and we have 28 billion aid to Ukrainians. Ukraine to hold the front of security. It's fought over these past few for its independence and for its sovereignty, but also for its security. I think that no one in this wants to live in a world of these international borders violated to the next one. Over the past few hours, as you mentioned this, Mr. President, you've been able to see a few things take shape. First, I commend you on your decision to work with President Zelensky and to conclude this agreement that's so important for the U.S., Ukraine on rare earth metals, but also having conversations with President Zelensky of a deal, which is a major commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, and I think that's very commendable. We all have a shared desire for peace. We will have this responsibility. This is 10 years the war started in Crimea, and all the events in Donbas region and along the northern country. We want to bring prisoners back and bring families. There's also a terrible tragedy of family. We had lengthy discussions with the President. We talk about our desire to bring an end to conflicts, to have a truce that is measurable, verifiable, and that in a lasting peace will not only Ukraine's reconstruction its territory, also the security maintaining long term. As I said to the President, we've experienced peace accords, only ceasefires during peace, one, and we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. The President has the desire to be a place of peace in the region. European leaders and allies in recent months bring together these allies together and share the of Ukraine. It must not be ceasefire with guarantees peace, allow for Ukrainian sovereignty, and allow Ukraine to go with other states regarding it affects. But it's also a country in which we need to shoulder our responsibilities that we security and stability for Ukraine, for the entire and West Europeans. This is an existential issue. We also spoke about issues with President Zelensky and gotten some of the details of the various phases of the negotiation. We've also spoken about some of its worth of British to deployments of peace forces, Ukrainian party security. Other countries are ready to effort. Solidarity and support from these countries, and I thank you, Mr. President, getting to this issue and agreement you are behind Ukraine discussions with solidarities that we think as soon as possible. Last one and the renewal of a national where we are all able to shoulder our rights, shouldering alongside their will shoulder their own rights. I want to be confident about Europe's building a peace. Europe, we committed to being in security guarantees, and we are also well aware Europeans need to do more for security, for defense and to fairly share the security in their country for years. President, you know how friendship I show and I your firm. Europe is clear on this. We know what we need to do as the threats surrounding us and the responsibility holder. Spoke about the agenda of Europe take a historic and clear investment. Europe is already in more and farther. And to me before I can hear Mr. President, you spoke about this peace through strength. We share that because we must recognize the sacrifices made Ukrainian people, but also economic matters. Our desire to see more across the states and Europe, which will be carried by our team, our minister secretaries to flesh out of those ideas, but the idea of bias within competent industries. Now, the American European economies are extremely intertwined. Some 1.5 billion services, and I know you spoke to the balance of payments. We have a deficit that we need to only at goods, also digital items and goods, which we want to make a sincere commitment towards fair competition. We have smooth trade and more already in a great deal. And France is the fifth most in the world. To all of the American investors who announced $120 billion worth at the AI summit. This is our wish. We have more prosperity, both at the end of a shared agenda in regard. We also, East among other subjects, here again, we have the same desire. We don't obtain nuclear weapons. We, or rather, want partners in the region that can trust. Iran's activity, we want to limit its capable of regional deals. With respect to Syria and Iraq, we also share the same desire. We don't Islamic terrorist groups resume, and there, after some time, our arms have very bravely been engaged in the Gulf, have led, and conditions and stability in the region. And I say this sincerely. Affected by a terrorist attack in 2015, a terrorist activity in Syria, and we are at your side from Syria. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a productive this morning during the conference with our ministers and counselors, and I would just say, after speaking with Trump, I am fully believing the path forward. We share the same beliefs. We know what is done, and we can work on that. Our teams will gather in various ways to make sure that we have solid policies with great strength. Mr. President, thank you. Thank you so much for these productive discussions and commitment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Brian, would you like to have a question? Go ahead.
That came out, the hard that came out, had your points and all of your agenda. You're accomplishing that. Stopping the war in Ukraine on the latest Harvard poll.
And it's usually all that leans on the other side of things, the other side of the world, so to speak. But the Harvard poll is not only leading, but adding on every single issue that we've talked. And as I said, I'm the president. I think that's very important comment because what's happening in the world, there's things that many of them are not being canceled. We speak rapidly, very effectively. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, before that, you would like to see Russia.
Yes.
You in Saudi Arabia, President Putin. Would that embrace?
Yeah, I think the meeting in Saudi Arabia was fantastic. We met with the prince. He was a fantastic young guy. He's young but great imagination and respected all the world. And he goes right to King. King is gotten friends with both of them very much. It was ended, and they're going all out to make sure that it is it. I think we likewise have spoken to President Putin and dealing with constantly, as people in particular. I wanted to these deals. All I know is deals. No one wants to make, and nobody else communicate with Russia whatsoever. It wasn't calls. They were not. They wouldn't have accepted that being forward and just keep going without stop. But when I got here, the first calls I made was the president, and we were treated with respect, and they want to. So because I didn't know about that, but it's a big thing they want to do it, and in the front row that they interest, they're all reactive. And we're on right now, trending out. The big one, the war stopped. Went to agreement. Go directly to agreement, but ceasefire will always at least hundreds, but thousands in some cases lost. So we'll see if we can get that very quick. Yes, for the president.
For both Macron, your last was on the Ukraine invasion. What advice, recommendation to make to Trump to make that this time can get strong enough guarantees from Putin to build this time? President Trump, what makes you trust Putin in the next? Thank you.
Look, I will never give an advice. Trump free and experts. Is full. No one else think it's good to have discussion with the leaders, and especially when these guys start after and the war crimes that we had not him in the time. Now this is a chance. There's a change because there is an administration. So the next, so it's good for President to re-engage. The President is following. I heard the President Trump team. 24 process of peace. President. But still the lack of security guarantees. President Putin. And I had this discussion too. Sometimes President Putin, 15 days launching the attack. He denied it, but he accurate. So this is why being strong and having capacities is going to be respected. And I the U.S. has to do. This is why I should never say I will never get boots on the ground, but you go violate our commitment. So I think it's a difficult decision. It's important to go, but strong point was let's get something first, test, verify, and let's use to build sufficient assortment. And this is where we are ready. As for France, American colleagues are ready to do this and backup because this is part of the credit of the securities, and this is active. And I have things that the president has passed.
I think it's very much a bit of a deal, and I feel that it is what it is. It should have never been started, or not have been started then, but it did. It's terrible. Where cities are down to the ground. It's like sites, all sites, and but it's so much. The whole culture is destroyed. Rip into those really near each other. It's sad to see as a benefit of trust on both sides. That's why I think it's very much Russia to deal and go leading Russia in a very voice. Yeah, wants to make wrong, but I believe he wants to make it. Go ahead, please.
For Canada, you've done enough on the border stop taking effect, and for President Macron, that critical minerals to Ukraine represents a de facto security by the United States would have an interest in protecting those in Ukraine.
We're on time with the, and it's going very rapid. We were led by many countries, Canada. We're taken up. We were led in some cases fools because anybody sounds like they signed with a break of the American people has happened over this long period of time, except for 4 years that 4 years ago. But they would allow to have a country shift themselves. No, the tariffs going forward. Took place for years. I'm not even blaming the other countries that is allowing it to happen. Who can blame these deals? The advantage of the United States, manufacturing, not everything. In fact, that you can imagine the advantage. Look at some of these agreements. I think that the US will yes, we're going to make a lot of territory. We're going to always want positive. We want to have somebody who's weak is simple. It'll be for our country enrich again. We're doing other things, finding what's use. You're seeing there's also you with what President Trump is doing, dealing with the way numbers aggregate 70% to 2%. I like it. And, the left would be starts doing at the country with the country with fairness. It has to be ripped off. Reads that these billions, and I mean billions, hundreds of dollars has spent on. I sit there and read them. I could stand there and read kind of things and all of this. Good that when you're rich, we can get to this. Sometimes you'll buy a company and you'll see a well-run account every. You get yourself a bed. What's created with outside vendors or on behalf of for the people that would do up. I will be hundreds of and thank you, please.
Okay, this discussion is very important. First, because it's important for the first meeting President Brzezinski. Second, I think it's going to make up on both. Third, the of different recognition now negotiated in due time, state of a peace. Now, is an important step toward peace agreement.
Monsieur, make a deal with. So when you do a deal, so what giving to what going and the way Notre Dame, a lot of money to Paris to the reconstruction of Notre Dame. You to construction of Ukraine.
President Macron is the progressing with President. There is an agreement to sending troops. How many troops would create danger to send troops?
Well, this little question I'm going to on behalf of Ukraine. We're in that pretty. I do you, however, because I have done incredibly the president how he worked. Not only the delegates, I was so work at this credit for that. Most people thought he said it was to be different. We want a different form. We want to see the same form. That's what a congratulating job. I give God credit for that.
Cool.
To go to this discussion, several areas of first, we and to have the president he would on critical truths and together a matter of that discussion able to move the bout this made to have peace and to measure and structure on that basis. France and several other European countries, along with Ukraine, are hard to build this with specific clarity, the territory, the economy, and been able to detail those progress. Market turn is the fact that we were able to guarantee. President has shown this over a minute ago. We the fact that Europe ready to as another American as an ally is that and that. Great areas of progress we've made during the trip and during discussion. Went to purposely we saw sent troops to first three regions. Today, when we talk troops, we're talking after we these. And once that's part of an agreement with Ukraine, signed by guarantees and with UK to plan with our military to go not occupy territories, but to show that we go signed by the people. So these would be would be assurance force. There are European allies who are ready. Countries have helped in military capabilities and equipment. Others have provided full support. The question is whether or more U.S. will attribute and be susceptible to that area of progress. The cost will shoulder their share of the burden aligned to the decade they have deterrent city. There's thanks to the if we guarantee the agreement, it would be conflict with these and change. We focus on towards that is real deterrence. The engagement going here is it's that how long I think this is before it also came out this week. We do not bear security of Europe. That can be or secure for one. If Germans hold collective security is important and and so working their leaders with maintainers.
Been working with you. You've been doing it soon. We're keen off. We're going to get it done. So important and great job.
Thank you.
Everyone, great honor to be here. President we had it often, but often the president long ago. It was a beautiful day, and many. We also thank Emmanuel Macron to witness the of the spectacular theater. And there you had it up, and we say more beautiful than it was. So great achievement. France America's chairship is prosperity is very now. Very war between Russia and Ukraine. Revolution sees as an independent nation. The Second World War is blood together on the battlefield for Europe. Africa during those run 6 years. That and another battle. War. Something second is European. The dead must reflect that. Imagine and what's all that people dying. There is anniversary of Ukraine, which never happened to us. It was not happened. Hours of this gruesome war. Thousands of people. Ukraine have generation of reason Russian has made 1,000 and it was beautiful. You used to see there the world are along a double. It's time to end this. Restore peace. Going to have some conversation with Russia. More progress toward that in the past 3 years with President Putin and President Zelensky. A lot of good things happening. Moving it, I think, pretty. Last week, Marco conducted in Arabia with the delegate from Russia and Saudi Arabia. And the King, Mohammed, really wanted to get this done. Our being as ceasefire as possible. The meeting was Macron. It was important because there's been much involved for it over. We're going to get it done. And the Middle East of them is not the only, horrible situation involved to the world. What could have happened? Should have started, but it did. And what a mess. Horrible. Also, everyone agrees that the cost of security is borne by Europe, not the United States. And must take that central role in security of what they do. That's every step what's happened in the few weeks. United States put a far more war, 100%, more than 1 billion. Europe is 100. That's a simple issue for us. But we won't about that. About thing that may be done in this city. I'll give amounts of very important countries and instructions for aid, like the United States, to recoup the colossal cent. And think of things like what stuff displays. That is what minerals, rare other things. And that's happening. We made progress. They had written to me before in that made a great deal of that did by the American to restore common Washington and the world. And I believe that it's in the best interest of the best in Europe, the best interest of the to stop the killing, to break with the administration, and frankly, best. I ran a very full establishment and the business as the people under our administration were forged the world in one office term. We had no problem with Israel. We didn't have the problems in the Middle East. We had inflation. So it was. And you know what else we didn't have people pouring up, made them clean right into our land. We never done and we're it up done as quickly as and we deal with the for a country's history. I hope it's right. I think for a short period of time. As I said, board, my hope that my it's not what I think. President Macron just stay in this work. Some wonderful people that work so hard. Really done a real good job. They're very hard. The real war and to emotions. And it's an honor with us at the West. Much, please.
Thank you, Ministre, gentlemen, je vais dire.
Thank you, French. And this has been the opportunity to meet the past few years. You're able to discuss matters in Paris and here at us, and it has been great to do that. I would like to thank you. And thank you, Mr. President, for extending the French President ceremony that you mentioned before. It was ready to reopen the cathedral to French the revolution united and together beyond time. We get peace, sovereign, for that between to those gentlemen would hear is part of which we are in today. As it is challenged the past few days, I wish to thank you for making I think some is forward something to go on switch set list with to us is after Russian Ukraine has for President people also didn't share out our services without very fast we have this often about when the current and I wish for the that our responsibility we have 108 billion Ukrainian these past and towards some for that in the monsterline of the strongest and holders involved in day-to-day past wars as president if you think your decision to work with President Zelensky and to complete so rules also on with Zelensky in this which we have peace. We have this respect this 10 year war in Crimea and our country to and bring peace of humanitarian. We can think about to have a treasurable negotiation. Let's discuss brings territorial security, maintains owners of experience that these fires we want to show again. I know to be peace. I've always we allies other shares sir this all for Ukraine going to negotiate with their soldier the to that we should we all with the president the phase and we also are to deployments you can these are guaranteed to this speakers and I just beginning to work on this we're preparing to Ukraine the discussion are very guaranteed that we think is lastly and the role of international all European long there is the men committed to a land in the security guarantee. We are also you do more to more share for some than I know you're very and threats we the Versailles Europeans you're and are there several leaders said to me board president will talk about strength we've the all members and IRT Murdy and Europe the idea no by the enemy some 5 bill trade it's and so about trade that and smooth and more a great deal in unit and out in events 120 billion ice. This we have more shared spoke east of the sub here again same to obtain nuclear or rather partners in the region us. We want to kind of type of region, which is we are the same. We don't want to terrorist groups and because of very in the Gulf as you have and contributions have been sent. Wait since to the terror area and we can work. We had the conference. Spokespersons, advisors, seeking leaders of power. There needs teams that make sure that thank you for this important.
Thank you very much. I had 9 points and all
Yes. These are domestic with the ground skies young with the king and the out there. I think President and his do a decent deal and will no answering of extend that big they'll just keep the with respect. You know, I think one questions for very deal now ridiculous to get the stopped. So we've been I had to go directly so yes.
I'm looking at advanced friend, my friends, no, I thought after from him, he changes the news, so business, a shirt with me, in the case, and discussion 7 hours and Putin, launch back, everything, strong, and is wage, and why the US. This is why I never sent him a blanket any type of discussion. I'm certain let's first test, right? And we should look a lot of verbal American because police and
I feel it will the word and our we rip out of the really easy to mention it's just about it but it's a bit of to make it with Russia and very positive
Next, Canada, Mexico. Leave the order to take Macron. If you do that, 2 minutes, you can factory so you have to
rapid cases with resign like sign taking people over the law for little for and allow no that's like many the country who can blame on your facts everything while they made thing want to say we have this is we have but it'll be big because that was hard we were doing others look but as the rip was being so there's that I'm going to empathy in this money because when you have sometimes you see people run it's there one and when you're hearing he had the United States for people I found a bill of
actually because it will be first again as of de facto negotiation as written as the schedule in hot
So when you did in the and when you marry and private to not that and when preservation not marry to protection as president I went to Mr.
In progress in the team fairs and in now truly but for strangers in your
I see the world and say about 150 years thing under the rest of the head out really was get if I were I'm very had a lot of trouble we couldn't be concerned or form
areas of we go with so lead to present from being to bring earth and is other embarrassed thing that some of the old Jeff Ayers and Mr. Russians for your Ukraine and criminal for both point. If I call the that it said moment we want east that they're ready to fight together and mass that lie rage airs the troops but we are to talk about the troops were targeted a list part of an agreement we signed and worked with to fight to our military but that when we signed both these not for these punishers for those already and effort military bodies in terms of other visible grunt during discussions we coupled to Russia and test the part of the president we have and we already have to that is we did it's for so we have the foreign interest statement also European since for this and security for all. When he has this European for like but I think it's a change.
The president chairship is made when Russia revolution of Europe the bell war some the second European our group has been but the work things we can run this no zones European to run and world leaves on that interest in the business indeed and my administration very close to the demonstration and we're not going to let the Russian world was first we have no option to Russian definitely for alien brings many of the to Americans we've done I want to things to
as we have to meet your terms here at the House has that you French and was on the border to French this days and we were over country from the many of we those two because we're going to challenges since war step had with all these leaders will be value Ukraine and support for the peace. This will be and I should that that are Russia and even Ukraine hold the first series so far because I understand it's not very big you want to pretty things to president and to comment on Ukraine and being the you're not very as any other crime to track and family there's we need to hire and to fix truth that metal findable trust key meaning only 5 to happen the president desire peace in region to bring to share this is not a reference this is all for Ukraine and other but we do shots of being towards the in also with the phrase ago also in South to on the Ukraine on the agreement about the same he has the new oven and all short your so what that used to for certain Europe or defend more important President how about to have his term about smoking studying the Versailles to give our and subject to use because this is the and also an this is secretary and within street and Prince of Phil's the American ministers $20 she works very like a share so we have seen around and pro even wants to label and people and from every have led and significant Prince was getting study and we have years so we have a true privilege more than and further speaking President Trump fully airs where and some forms make sure we politics with productive
Go ahead.
friendly but my
So what can give you and that you are in for that of doing
what is your meeting terms piece the representatives impression so have he was to importance that we need to your has the few Today we're talking through lands. We have
honor you. Interest more than 100 big difference. Well, that we probably have 4 weeks. Thank you. And related to the girls now to lay out to see your offense as a